Hi, and welcome back to the When Words Fail, Music Speaks podcast. I'm Amanda Dolan, and I'm here with my co-host James Cox, along
Hey,
with Tattoo Billy. Tattoo Billy's
Howdy.
band was founded in the late 1980s. Don't think you got your name until the 90s, though, by
Right.
Hurstel Begley and his son Ed Begley. Over the years, the band's lineup has changed. Your dad passed in 2014, as well as guitarist Rodney Begley in 2015 and Gary Little in 2021. So you, Ed, are the final original member of the band. Got some new
Yes.
members, including your wife,
Right.
which I have questions about. You've released a number of albums over the years. The most recent single out is Frisky Whiskey
Yep.
with Jonathan Joss, who is the voice of John Redcorn on King of the Hill, starring in the music video. And you've had songs featured in the movie Kiss of a Vampire, which when I looked for, I had a hard time finding because it's under a different name on IMDb. That doesn't matter. And that's starring Immortal something.
Oh yeah, it was under Immortal Years, I think, originally, and
Yeah.
it's Kiss of the Vampire now. I think you can find it on Tubi now.
Oh, I might
yeah,
have to go
that
watch
be
it.
great. Yeah,
And that's starring Daniel Goddard and
Yeah.
Martin Cove and Matthias Hughes.
yeah.
And you
Yep.
guys, even all of these years later, right? You're still writing and performing all over the place.
Yep. We're like Methuselah. We won't go away. Been
Hey,
around forever.
that's not bad at all. I'm so excited that you're here. I listened to some of your music and checked you all out and got a really great sound. It reminds me of growing up
Oh,
in the
thank you. I
best
appreciate
ways.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. And
And
James, do you want to start? Do you have any questions to start while I pour
Yes.
myself some
I-
whiskey for Frisky
Yes.
Whiskey?
there
One
you
of us
go.
drinking and one of us is not, and that's me who's not. But she's gonna drink for
I'm gonna have some whiskey
It's gonna make
in
it fun
honor,
then.
yeah, maybe that whiskey.
in honor.
Whiskey, right?
Hopefully not so much that I make it too fun,
There you go. There you go.
Right.
just enough.
So,
There you go.
Mr. Ed, I just want to thank you so much for promoting us on X, which is formerly Twitter, Facebook, and all the other things. I did not expect you to do that, but from the bottom of my heart,
Yeah.
thank you. That helped a
Oh,
lot.
thank you. And thank you for having me on. It's a real honor to be on with you guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Anytime.
excited.
First question for you. Okay, so Tattoo Billy was founded in the late '80s, right? So
Yeah.
So, starting your music career in the '80s, '90s, and in 2000s and more,
Right.
which
Yeah.
That just made me sometimes when I think of it's like 2000s
Right, yeah.
and then
like
there's
20, I
another
don't know.
decade
Right,
after
yeah.
that now.
But since '80s to now, which generation is would you prefer to listen to music the most in?
Music that I like to listen to.
Yes, which generation from '70s,
Well,
'80s? Yeah.
right now I like a lot of because a lot of me being kind of a Southern rock artist, a lot of people think I'm like all the time listening to Southern rock, and I mean, like right now there's a band I'm listening to I really like. They're called Blame My Youth, and it's kind of like an alternative rock band. They're a real good band. They got a song out called Stupid Human. I like them. I like Alkaline Trio, Census
Yes.
Failed.
Yeah.
So I listen to a lot of different stuff. And then I like some of these newer like guys out of Texas where she's from, like Austin Mead and Cole
That's great.
Wetzel and guys like that too. So, kind of a mixed bag, what I like. And I like the old country guys too. Of course, you got to like Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and all those guys too. They're just legends.
I am going to ask you about Waylon Jennings. So I was listening to your song "Born in Dixie," which is on your last cut
Yeah.
album, and that had for me that sounded like a strong inspiration of Waylon Jennings. Is that true, or am I like far apart from it?
No, you're spot on. My
Yes.
dad and when we were playing around, he looked so much like Waylon Jennings and stuff like that. They called him Little Waylon. That's
Okay.
what his nickname was on the scene. And I kind of grew up. It's kind of like a different scene, as in like I was growing up and I was watching my dad play these honky tonks. And back then, if you walked in the honky tonk, you were 7 or 8 years old, and as long as you was with your mom or whatever, it wasn't nobody like, hey, get that kid out of here. So
Mm.
I'd be in the honky tonk seeing my dad play, and this is so long ago. My first memory of being there, I remember Urban Cowboy was like the big movie
Yeah.
that was out with John Travolta at the time. So, I was like a real young kid and I was going in these places seeing my dad play. At that time, though, I never thought I would wind up playing with him myself. So back in, and the scene was really different too. Back in, the scene was, honky tonks. And it was honky tonks when I first started playing too. And so, I call them honky tonks, aka gun and knife clubs. They were pretty rough joints.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when I was in high school, when I first joined my dad, the first place I played with him was a place that had chicken wire around the stage.
Yes.
And I'm like,
I'm getting
yeah,
Roadhouse vibes
Yeah,
here.
well,
yeah,
yeah, they,
kinda like a-
yeah, because
So,
I guess the audience would be kind of more rambunctious than what the
well,
yeah.
so I'm curious then how your uh amateur boxing fighting helped you then in these honky tonks with they're a little more rough and tumble. Yeah, I went
yeah,
that deep into
it there was some rough and tumble times. We, as a band, tried to just basically stick together if anything happened. You know what I mean on stage. Luckily, we were very professional band, so now my dad did, but this was when I was a kid. My dad and my mom and a bunch of them got into a big scuffle and I'm not going to mention the name, but it was uh, an MC club, a motorcycle club, and they had a big old fight. The whole bar was fighting, but this is when I was a kid, and my mom wound up getting arrested in it. You know what I mean? She'll probably get mad that
Oh
I'm telling the
wow.
story. I've never told it before, but yeah. So that's the only time I known of something happening. The other time it came close to something like that happening in one of the clubs was we were playing a place that, well, I probably shouldn't mention the name of the place, but it was a truck stop / bar, and it was up in Washington Courthouse in Ohio, and the whole place was filled up with lot lizards, or you might
Yes,
call
yes,
ladies,
we
ladies of
know.
the night. So we're in there playing. We play the whole night. We get to the end of the night. It's the whole place has got like a weird vibe to it. Sheriff comes in, walks out, it's like, okay. So at the end of the night, we go up to try to get paid, and the guy act like he wasn't going to pay us. And we were like, oh boy, here we go. This guy ain't going to pay us for this show. You know what I mean? But he finally wound up paying us, and we were like, okay. And we did wind up coming back and playing 2 more shows there, but it was definitely one of the weirder places I played at too, which unfortunately most of my music career, though we did have some good gems, of opening up for artists, but most of my music career was unfortunately in the honky tonk.
Good stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I
Okay.
think those smaller, more intimate, I'm gonna say smaller, more intimate venues can be really fun for
They
both
can be.
the artist and the fans watching.
Yeah. And we had a pretty good following. And I mean, I still got a decent enough following now. They still buy my music and stream it, and like you can see the Frisky Whiskey video, it's almost 100,000 views, so
Which is great.
people
Yeah.
still,
It's a
yeah.
fun
So
video.
people,
Right.
yeah. So I do got a small contingent of fan base. And that's why I tell a lot of people, do what you do it for you, and you'll find your crowd. You'll find your audience. So don't listen to anybody. It's like, oh, you can't do this, or you can't sing, or you can't do that. Because if I did that, I would have never boxed. I would have never played bass. I would have never did anything in my life. But I listened to me, listened to my heart. Like he's mentioned in the Bible earlier, listen to God, put a lot of faith in him, and actually done things, had songs and movies. I was in a book with a #1 artist in South Africa, Steve Hoffmeyer, and he has me listed as a celebrity under there. It's probably to the disdain of the other South African celebrities that are sharing pages with me,
Oh,
but
come
you
on
know, I'm there.
now. Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
are
you're
a
the big deal.
celebrity,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that though, that like go with your, almost like lead with your intuition. Know that if you're doing what brings you joy, that the
Yeah.
people, the success, all of that will follow you,
Mhm.
And
will show up.
and if it isn't, you know, and it's success is what is success to you? And everybody has a
Yes.
different concept of it. Mine's like, if I write one song and one person likes it, I've had success.
Yeah, you've done your job. Yeah.
I've done my job. One person actually liked something I did. So my
And
outlook has always been, when I was younger, how could you say it? I used to want to be anybody but me. You know what I mean? I
mhm.
wanted to be the big celebrity. And now that I'm older, I wouldn't want to be anybody but me
But
and
you.
where I'm at, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask you a
Feel that
quick
way.
question because you brought it up. You said we're talking about when you were younger. So many kids change their minds from day to day about what you want to be. Did you always want to be a musician, or did you have other dreams like normal kids would say? You know, because I remember having a dream of becoming like a race car driver one day. Uh,
right.
Something else the other day. Was music your always go to thing?
Well, growing up, there was so much music around me. I think I was a kind of like, I don't want to, you know, being around it so much. I wasn't really drawn to it till I was about, I think I was 16 and a half, and there was some girl in school that liked musicians.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah,
huh, I like this
dude.
girl, and maybe she'll like me if I'll pick up an instrument. And at
Yeah.
that time, in rock music, I joined a rock band, but the bass player only had to beat one string. You know what I mean? Boom, 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 boom. The guitar player did all the work. So I picked up the bass, and 6 weeks later, I was playing shows, you know, just beating a string open, you know.
Right.
So,
See, I might disagree with you on the bass player. Like you all are part of the percussion, like, right? You're
Yeah,
part of
yo.
the keeping the rhythm
right,
going. And so if you all mess up,
right.
like that can shift things. But also, what I find interesting is that when I think of a bass player, I think of the guy standing in the corner, not doing anything. I mean,
Mhm.
not doing anything, but just kind of
Right,
standing
right.
there and rocking. But you're a
Yep,
bass player and frontman, singer.
yep.
How does that
It,
work? Because that's not normal.
it it works out pretty good, as in, because I've been doing it, you know what I mean? I think a lot of it's
Mhm.
experience. When I hear like stories about the Beatles, when they went to Hamburg and they were in Germany and they were playing 6 hours a night, I did that. I did 6 hours. That was all my shows starting off. We started at 9 o'clock at night. We didn't get to quit till 2:30 in the morning, you know. Uh, so playing those chops, playing those bars, and like you were mentioning, even with the boxing, you learn to lose butterflies. You get up and it's almost like a job to you. You know what I mean? And you turn it on and you do it. And you may not be the best every night at it. You know, sometimes you might have a cold, sometimes your voice might crack, but uh, we are firm believers in we don't use click tracks, and we don't sing with, you know, with the recordings. We get out and we play it live, we play it raw, the old fashioned way, you know.
100%. 100%
You
live.
know,
Yours, you mentioned that, and I'm gonna maybe put you on the spot. But a few weeks ago was the Super Bowl, and Alicia Keys is up there, and I think her voice cracked just a little bit in the live performance. Clearly, no auto tune. Clearly, it was her singing. And then now the official like recording that's out on, the NFL YouTube page or whatever has that voice auto tuned.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'm
And
disappointed. Like I have to say, I'm disappointed that they did not have that
Yeah.
to show that imperfection, that right, that we're not always perfect and that you can
right.
be amazing at something and still mess up. So like,
Yeah, and that's about being a live act. It's not going to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's going, you know, and when people say, "Oh, that band sounded horrible," I say, "Well, you were listening to a real live band. You know, you're everything ain't going to be perfect, just like the record every time you play it. You know, there might be something, a guitar might get out of tune on you, and you got to fix it real quick while you're playing, and or your voice might crack, and you're like, oh no, you know, but you just play through it. You know what I mean? And usually, if you don't acknowledge one thing I've learned about playing out and playing out for all these years now is that if you don't acknowledge your mistake, most people don't
no,
recognize it either. You know what I
Right.
mean?
unless it's a
Except for maybe like
huge.
a Super Bowl performance, you know, or something like that. But
Well,
the
what's
thing
interesting
is,
is I didn't notice that until somebody pointed it
pointed
out
it out.
on
Yeah,
some social media. Because for me, it was just a live performance and
right. And, and
an
and and
artist that
that's
I
what I
love.
like. Yeah. And that's what I like about like when you see the Stones are still playing live. They're still, you know what I mean? So, you know, uh yeah, get out there and do it for real, you know. And if you fall, you're just going to get better. You're just going to get better as you go, you know. And more shows you play, the longer you play, you just, you know, to get up and that, like when we did openers, to get up and play like 10 or 11 songs, it was like a warm up to us, you
Mm.
know, whenever we got to open up for like bigger acts. So it was like we had to energize up, like, hey, come on, we got to, you know,
Yeah.
get it together. We got to put a show on here, you know, and you had to energize yourself up because you're only getting to play 10 or 11 songs, which to us was like nothing. That's just one set out of what 4 or 5 sets we used to do a night. You know what I mean? So we'd have to try to energize up. All right, let's get it, you know, get out there. Let's move around. Let's get it, you know, going. And uh, so, yeah, I mean, I love the live perform and I love it so much. If I didn't have to haul my equipment and hook it up, if it was like, hey, we love your music and it's close enough. And they're like, will you come here and play a couple sets and we'll have the PA hooked up and we'll have everything ready to go for you? I'd probably do it for free because I like playing music. But with the work involved in it, you know, you got to make something.
That's
You
a
got to
lot.
get
Yeah.
paid, you know,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of work, you know, and I got a set rate that I play by and I got, you know, history and legacy behind me as a independent artist,
Mhm.
and that, you know, I'm not going to give it away,
No.
you know,
And
so some people don't book me because they think I'm too high, and you know, and other people think I'm
those
just
aren't your
right. So
people.
No.
yeah, they're my people, you know.
They're not.
So, but it is fun. I do enjoy it. Now I don't do it as a full-time living anymore, you know, just because I can't. I was talking to somebody today about this. They were talking about my first record deal I ever got. It was with an independent label out of California. I'm not going to mention her name, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
uh, so we signed to them, and we signed to them because we had another subsidy from a major label that was interested in us. And but it was like they wanted full time commitment. And which at this time, you know, we all had houses, we all had families, and you know, so we wasn't looking for like gambling it all and going on the road. We really wasn't, you know, because we had families to take care of and stuff like that. So, and they wasn't really coming off of any guarantees. So we signed with this record label. And I was telling this lady today, I said, it was probably longer than this, but it seems like 6 weeks later, this label went out, but it was probably more like 6 months, you know what I mean? But it was just one of those things. We wound up getting a one royalty check for like $6, you know, and it was so
Oh no,
small.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just framed it, you know, put it
Yeah.
on the wall. We're like,
Good.
well,
Yeah.
For our
there's
first
our
check.
record check,
Mhm.
you know.
But that's with us 1 million of like McDonald's, but that's not, you know, I mean, framing it better, you know? Yeah.
Right,
It's
right. So
but I think that that brings up a really interesting point about like that work life family balance of
yeah,
and the success that you talked about earlier, that being, you know, with your family and enjoying the music you're playing, right? Like not
yeah.
feeling maybe beat down at the end of the week because you haven't spent time with your family and you haven't, like you said, you have grandkids now.
Right.
You don't maybe want to be away from for months at a time. But I know your wife is in the band with you now.
Yes, yes.
So
And
I'm curious, like, even though you've been, you're the original member, is she the boss now in the band or?
she's got a
Yeah.
lot of say because I'm kind of like, and I got a good producer too named Matt Gracie. He's the one that produced the Frisky Whiskey recording and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
great.
so they kind of put a handle on me because sometimes I want to do some crazy things.
Oh, no,
And they're
yeah.
like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, okay, I was like, if you do, if you think it would,
So
so I do listen, you know what I mean? As more than when I did when I was younger. So I will listen to, like, if they say that's not a good idea, and I'll be like, okay, well, if you guys don't think it's a good idea, then I won't do it. And my wife's got she's got a great voice. I'm trying to come up with something. I'm wanting to write something with her so we can get her out there. Now she sang a version of Frisky Whiskey too.
oh, I
That's
didn't hear
out.
that.
Okay, so
I'll
look
have
her
to find
video
that
up too. She's on the same
because
kind of video, kind of like mine, but it's her singing it. And her version's out on Apple Tunes too. And a lot of people like hers better than mine. So, it might be better.
I'm a fan of the female led
I am too.
band. But
Yeah.
what I did find when I was poking around was a video of her doing a cover of Joan Osborne's One of Us, which is one of
Oh
my
yeah.
all-time favorite songs.
We did like
But what I
punk rock.
noticed is that, yes. So I have this question for you, and we've talked to other people who've played covers. You like they're unique because I listened to a couple of them and they are clearly like your cover, but like yours. You're not trying to be the band that you're
No.
singing their song. So
Yeah.
then how do you pick those covers and how do you feel confident that your way is the best way for you?
Well, our concept is if we take a song on, if people wanted to hear the original, they're not, why listen to us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go listen to who did it the best. But if you want to hear a different version of an original, or a cover, I'm sorry. So to me, if you're going to do a cover, make it your own. Make it almost like an original song. You're doing it totally different. You might make the speed up, or like with the Joan Osborne, you know what I mean, outside of the drummer coming in a little too quick on that live performance. It's like a punk rock version of it. But I always like the song. I love the original, but I was like,
I do too.
let's punk rock it up and make it totally different. So yeah, we try to take every cover we've ever done and just switch it around enough to make it like our own unique way. That way, I mean, you never know if you ever want to release a cover song, you're doing something in your own original fashion, and that
Yeah.
people might like it just because it's different than the original. It's like when you listen to the songs in the 60s, people would keep like re-releasing the same songs.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry songs or old R&B artist songs, but they sound just like the original. So to me, it was like, yeah, there's really no flair to it because you're just basically doing the same song, same speed, almost the same vocal pattern as the original. So go buy the original, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
And you have artists and songwriters, artists like Dolly Parton, right? With Jolene, or not Jolene,
Mhm.
sorry. I have Dolly Parton, Jolene, but I Will Always Love You, right?
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
Whitney Houston,
Did it? Yeah.
similar speed and but such a different
Different
song
vocal.
because of their
Yeah.
voices, just
Right.
how their voices sound. And so
And
they're the same, but they're not.
right now, I agree with you. Like that song, it's kind of close, but it's different enough. She made it her own.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which was cool, and that's why I think people should be original. Don't try to be like anybody else. That was kind of my point when I said what I said earlier. You know what I mean? People spend so much time when they're a younger artist that you're finding your way through, and you almost do I got to mimic these guys? And I wouldn't. I mean, I really wouldn't, even when I was playing rock and roll music, I wasn't putting lipstick on because at that time, all these guys had lipstick on, wearing makeup, running around looking like girls. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I looked like the grunge guy before grunge came around, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But it's kind of like the neighborhood I grew up in. I mean, I came out of a neighborhood. It was one of the poorest neighborhoods in Ohio at the time. You know what I mean? Half the neighborhood I lived in didn't have sewage system, so people were using outhouses.
Yeah.
And this is like a township not far from the city. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And there's one guy we call Chicken George. He's living in a chicken coop, and he'd walk around the neighborhood with his pet rooster. You know what I mean? So I grew up in I called it a hillbilly ghetto.
So is that where the name Tattoo Billy came from? The hillbilly?
So I was gonna ask you this. So it's time to call you. How many tattoos you got? If you got, I mean, you're Tattoo Billy. So
I saw at least one
that
on your finger, but I don't know if
Yeah,
there's more.
I got tattoos all over me. So
okay, yeah. So basically,
I got
one.
I don't have any.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
but
There we go. Now you can't see them anymore.
see, I can show you one. You want to see it?
Sure.
Yeah, I love my tattoos, so.
So this
Oh,
is
wow.
like
That's
the
amazing.
sleeve, my
Yeah.
sleeve. It's my family crest, coat of arms,
Yeah.
and stuff. They came out of like Cheshire, England. That's the family arms. But
That's awesome.
the
Yeah.
name
Beautiful
came out of we were trying to find a name because it's like I said, in your early stages of a band, and a lot of bands do it, even the bigger bands, you'll hear them talk about it. Sorry about that. Was that you run a gauntlet in your early part of your band where you're horrible. So you run through names, you keep changing your name, and we did this several times. Is like we play a place, they hated us, they kick us out, they're awful. You know what I mean? And
Oh no.
we'd come back 2 months later under a different name. They'd be like, "Hey, wait, did we have you guys in here before?" You know,
Yeah.
we'd be back, but we'd be better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what
So
to
we'd
Because
be
time had passed.
Yeah. So we'd be back, we'd be better, you know, and each time we changed the name, we kept coming back. We were better until we were top notch. And at that time, we were like, we need to find the name of a band that we can stick with now because we're pretty decent now. So I was coming up with a name and I was like, won't we call it Psycho Hillbilly? You know, once again, I come up
Nice.
with all these crazy ideas, like I was telling you earlier. And my dad's like, I don't know about that. He goes, what about Tattoo Billy? I said, okay, I like that. It's got a good ring to it. So we went under Tattoo Billy. Well, unfortunately, I was the only guy in the band with tattoos at the time.
Oh.
This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we
So
would
you
go
were
out and play.
Billy.
Yeah, everybody thought I was Billy. So that's how the name became a stage name to me because everybody thought like I was Billy, and I kind of became the mascot of the band. That's Billy right there because I was the guy with the tattoos, you know. And now it's my stage name just because, you know, pretty much I'm the last, you know, original member to the band.
It's kind of like Hootie and the Blowfish. Everybody thinks that Darius Rucker is Hootie, but he's like, I'm not Hootie. I don't know what the hell, you know.
Right.
So you're not Billy. You're Ed. You know, but
Right.
yeah, it's great.
It was like that because we'd be at shows and people were like, "Hey, Billy, Billy, Billy," and I didn't realize they were talking to me. You know what I mean? And I was like, "What? Oh, me? Are you talking to me? Oh, my name ain't Billy. Oh, I thought you was Billy because you had the tattoos." And my dad's like, "Hey," he goes, "Roll with that. You're going to be Tattoo Billy."
You're gonna be
I'm
you're
like,
gonna be Billy
"Okay."
from now on. You know, yeah. That's
So
great.
you know, Iron Maiden had Eddie, and Tattoo Billy had me, I guess.
Yep.
The other Eddie.
Speaking of Iron Maiden, which band do you like better? Since you, I mean, mentioned Iron Maiden, do you like Iron Maiden or do you have Megadeth? Because you have Eddie on one side, you know, with Iron Maiden, and you have
Right.
Dick Rattlehead with Megadeth. So which one?
It's both really good.
I mean, there's like
You know, mascots. You know, they both got really good mascots.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, but I love now as in bass playing, I love the bass player from you know, Iron Maiden.
Yes.
You can't beat a better bass player. You know what I mean? That guy can jam. Paul McCartney was a good bass player too. I always liked his
Oh.
playing.
He's great. I mean, the Beatles is like mine,
How do
like
you-
#1 or
Yeah.
#2 band of all time. You know.
Yeah, and mine too. And I usually don't bring it up just because it's something everybody brings up. So I
Yeah.
always try to find something different that it's influenced me. Like today, what have I, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
today, I jammed out all day long on Alkaline Trio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like different days I find something I'm just like I'm niche to this. I mean, some days it might be a Johnny Paycheck, or
Yes.
another day it's back to Census Failed, or this and that, or I like Austin Mead. I might listen to some Austin Mead or Cole Wetzel, and all these newer artists. Another one was I can't. I just lost his name. We opened up for him, and he had an album called Mud Dynasty, and he was one of the first country rappers. And he's got some really good stuff too. And I just had lost his name as I was talking to you. Sorry about that. But
I'll find it. I'm good at that. Lenny Cooper. There you
Lenny
go.
Cooper,
You're
yeah,
welcome.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
that's my superpower. I
Man,
joke
that
that
is
it's
good.
not
That
the
is good.
it's not the FBI. It's it's not the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's the Female Bureau of Investigation, because
like it.
we
we look at
are
yeah,
excellent at finding all of the things.
yes, all
Right.
of them. Yeah. So if you ever need,
I mean, you give
But I
me
remember that.
like a name and a place that somebody lived for a year, and I can find out who their mama was and what hospital she was born at. Just give me a few minutes.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, that was a good show. We opened up for him, and then he was a real nice guy. I met him for a second. Most of the time, those guys, when you open them up for, they don't even stick around to look at you or anything like that. He stuck around for our sound check and got to talk to him for a minute. He's a really nice guy. But we did and back then we were pretty slammed. Like we did 2 shows that day. So we opened up for him, then we loaded our equipment and went to another show. It was like 3 hours away, and it
I
was
don't
just
know
busy. Yeah. And
Because-
riding in a van.
That's a long day. And I think, I
It
mean,
is.
I'm gonna maybe age all of us here, but that kind of stuff is hard on your body,
It
like
is.
physically,
Mhm.
right? I mean, heck, at this point, just riding in a van like that for 3 hours would be rough on me, much less slinging equipment around and standing and performing.
Right.
it takes
Yeah.
a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about mental health around here. And I think mental health, physical health, all of that, goes hand in hand. So what do you do when you're on the road or you've got lots of shows like that to take care of yourself, your vocal health, your mental health, physical, all of that?
Yeah. Back then it was really tough because at that time I was married to another lady before my wife today, and she had heart disease. She passed away from heart disease. So that that show in particular I was talking about, I was all night at the hospital with her,
Mhm.
and she understood the business of it all. And she was like, I was like, well, I can cancel these shows or I'll let somebody else play bass for me for those 2 shows tomorrow. She goes, no, go play the shows. So I went and I played both shows and went back to the hospital at the end of it and stayed there with her, overnight. But yes, that's what a lot of people don't realize is what musicians go through to entertain you.
Yeah.
They might show up to that show and they put a show on for you and you don't know what kind of struggles or things that are going on in their own personal life, but they made that show to be there and not disappoint you. So try not to be a butthead in a crowd and heckle the band, because they might have sacrificed a lot to be there for you.
Just go have fun. Like I'm just in my mind, I'm like, just go have fun. Like there's no reason to be a jerk to anyone,
Right.
really. And
Especially if you're
honestly,
paid to
like,
be there, you
when
know?
somebody's a jerk back, like to you, sometimes like it's so much more satisfying to be so kind to them that they're like,
Mhm.
but I want you to be mad at me, or
Yeah.
they just then get frustrated that they're not getting the reaction that they want. But
And
yeah, don't be an asshole.
right.
It's
And
fine.
that's a tough thing when you play a lot of the bars and stuff like that. You always get somebody who's got a little too much alcohol in them and they want to heckle and whatever, you know what I mean? But And it's like I said, we had good shows too. Like I said, like opening up for Lenny Cooper was a cool show. You know, he probably wouldn't remember us because it's a one nighter. And opened up for Foghat, that was a one nighter. If you mention Tattoo Billy, they're not going to know who we are either. But they were
I'm sure they
they were
will.
cool. Yeah, they were cool paydays and stuff like that. So those were the shows, those kinds of little openers, and they would be like way down on the bottom. So I'm not like overhyping myself here. We would be like the first band up into the build up of probably another opening act into all the rest of them. So we were like the first ones up, and you know, sometimes there wouldn't even
But
hardly
see,
be anybody there.
But see, I will tell you that most times that I found out that the openers are the best bands ever. You know.
Yeah, a lot of people
Mm.
liked it. And we always brought like t-shirts and whatever, and we
Yeah.
just threw them in the audience because
Yeah.
the paydays were so decent. Like when we opened up for Foghat, I mean, we played a half hour. It was a show I would have did for free, and we made a lot of money. You know what I mean, for that show. So it's so we always brought something when we were going to have good paydays. Be like, let's throw out 30 t-shirts into the crowd or whatever. You know what I mean? Give back to people what actually came out and seen us or was fans to us, and we always try to take time for those people too. I mean, I got a guy right now I got to send something to. I kind of slipped my mind. I was supposed to do it over the weekend. He wanted an autographed picture of me, and I got to get that in the mail. As I was speaking, it just ding, 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 rang a bell in my head. I got to get that took care of. But yeah, we always try to take care of anybody that's always supported us, and a lot of repeat offenders. I mean, we'd have people follow us into like we played a show over in Kentucky, they would follow us all the way from Ohio and just to see us play in Kentucky or wherever, you know what I mean? So
Those are the
it's real
best
nice to have
ever.
nice people like that that support you and are still supporting you in some way or another.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about going back to your dad now. Now when you and him and I think it was your brother or was that like another member of your family?
Oh, that was my cousin Rodney.
Cousin.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. When they were there, when you were making music with them, who was the main writer out of that three? What was it you or was it your dad or was it your cousin?
It's me and my dad. We pretty
Okay,
much wrote everything.
okay.
Yeah. And we kind of, it was kind of like a Paul McCartney, John Lennon type of thing. We bounced off each other. We pretty much co-wrote everything. He wrote some songs like I didn't have any involvement in but it's very few. He's got one that's on TikTok, and it's an old recording. It's like 88, 89, and they've made like 200 videos on TikTok with it. It's called Pat Paul's Girl, and it's under Hurstel Bagley. So if you want to check that out, but it's an old recording, and a lot of people's used it with their granddaughters. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. That's
he would
Yeah,
he
awesome.
would get a kick
I'm a
out of that.
Papa's
That's
girl.
great. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I called
So
my grandpa was Papa, so
Oh yeah, we did
I'll
too.
have to
I mean, it
I'll
was
have to
Pablo to
listen
us
to
too.
that.
Yeah. Pablo was a great name. Yeah.
Oh,
right, right. But yeah, it's been like I said, I still like to write. I still like to get out, and I still play. I mean, I play shows. You know what I mean, too. So you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's something I enjoy doing. I don't intend on quitting until I basically can't do it anymore. And I now that my wife's involved with me too, it's a greater enjoyment because for a lot of time I kind of quit. There was probably a year's I'd say about a year's space after my dad died. I finished up what shows I had booked. I was singing them, and then a drummer I had at the time was singing the songs too. And so it just didn't feel the same, you know, after he passed away on stage. So, and then my cousin
oh,
dying too, you know what I mean? So I'm up on stage. I got, you know, but we finished the shows. It was a tough year. Like 2000, it was 2014. He passed away, but my wife passed away that year, and then he passed away 6 months later. I was actually training for my last boxing match, and that's where I actually met my wife at I have today. So we met in a boxing gym, and I finished up my fight too. They was going to cancel it, so I fought through all the adversity and finished up all my obligations despite what was going on in my personal life, and got to meet her, and she was a complete blessing, you know. And then come find out she sang. She didn't even know I played music either. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you played music," and I didn't know she sang, and now we're
It
singing and
works.
playing together.
It works
Yeah.
perfectly. Yeah.
I love that. And I think it's like grief is a funny thing, right? Like your grief, my grief, James's grief, like it's not going to look the same from person to person or day to day. So
No.
like embrace whatever
and-
your grief looks like and don't judge someone else's because you have no idea what their story is.
Right.
Right. And but yeah, it was a tough year, and luckily, I tell you, if it wasn't for boxing, we mentioned boxing earlier, is that I don't think my body would have held up. I was in such good conditioning then, not now, but back then, that, you know, my body was able to hang up, you know, hold up to all this stress that was going on in my life, just because I think I was in such good shape, you know, I was in fighting condition and stuff. And like I said, my boxing went back. I mean, in 1999, my trainer was a former world junior weight champion, Aaron Pryor. So, you know, I got to touch, you know, those coattails of a great
Greatness.
fighter,
Right.
a king. So in my opinion, one of the greatest junior welterweight champions of all time, and Aaron Pryor. So he was, you know, and I learned a lot from him about adversity, because of adversity in his life and how he changed his life around too. You know, he found the Lord, and was kind of preaching at the end of his life. He passed away in 2016, but yeah, just a great guy, you know what I mean? So I think that's important too, as you go through life, is to try to learn from other people, see other people, listen to other people. Real wisdom is not always you got to go through something. You can see what somebody else went through and be like, hey, I don't want to have to go through a bad situation like that, you know. And he went through a phase after he retired out of boxing. He got hooked on drugs and stuff like that, but then he got out of it and overcame, found the Lord. So yeah, he's a great guy too. So, but yeah, just music. I had music, I had boxing. So I had a lot going on. My problem was I had so much going on, I couldn't focus. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes you could, which one do you want to be successful at?
Yes.
Then I finally quit boxing. I was like, you know what? I can't see myself, you know, after 9 years, continue doing the fight game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I totally turned back, and it's just like, I'm just going to focus on music and writing, and I'll last a lot longer that way.
Right. And
Yeah,
you're
I'm
and with music, you're more creative in your mind. You know, I mean, music with creativity and actual play physically. You know, it's all great.
I don't know. I'm thinking that like punching some things might feel really good.
Yeah,
Get some of that.
Good release.
That's a good.
And it's
Notice
like
I
a
said
yeah.
things, not people. Things.
Right.
Punching
Things.
things.
All. Yeah.
And it's like that too, like with the creative thing too, is like, you know, meeting Jonathan Joss. He heard the demo of Frisky Wissy, liked it.
Mhm.
And he's a great actor. He's in Magnificent Seven. He's in Tulsa King right now as Bad Face with Sylvester Stallone. And just and he came up with a lot of the idea for the video. He screened, you know, did the kind of drew it out.
Storyboard. Yeah.
Storyboard, thank you. Yeah. And he was like, man, it's a good song. I like to make a video for it. And I was like, man, I said, I'd love for you to make a video for it. He goes, well, don't worry about the money or nothing like that. He goes, you know what I mean? And sure enough, I mean, he just liked the song, and had great ideas, and it was cool just to work with him, you know, too. You know, very nice gentleman, nice guy, and and he does work. So I mean, it isn't like he, you know, you can look him up. His name's Jonathan Joss, and you can find him, you know, on Facebook and everywhere else. And he does a good job, you know. And but it's cool. He liked the song, and you know, and him being in there. I think maybe that helped too, you know, with people being interested and looking at the video just because he was in it. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
And I think like that's relationships. I think are
Yeah,
really important in all kinds of different places, and you talked about you've got fans that follow you to shows, your wife you play music with, the family growing up. So how, like, music and relationships, how do those things go together for you? Like, how do you connect with people through music?
I almost, like you said, I almost feel like there has to be a family member with you in Tattoo Billy for it to be Tattoo Billy, pretty much like what you just said.
Yeah.
And on the hindsight, anybody that plays with me, I try to treat them like family too. So I let them have a say so. I let them have as much. I try to run it totally. Each person's got a say. I don't tell anybody what to do, but I don't want nobody telling me what to do either. We come to an agreement on stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 So, as long as you ain't over there, getting so drunk that you can't play, that's a different story, But if you have a few drinks and want to play, I'm cool with that, as long as you can play and you're playing good,
Yeah.
and so
Balance.
yeah,
Yes.
balance.
It's all about balance.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, in my experience, when I've been part of a group and I felt like I have a say, I'm more invested in it. Like, I want to show up. I want to
There's
be my best.
nobody wants to be a hired hand.
No.
I don't want to live your dream as a hired hand. I want to be able to be in this and be creative and throw an idea. And we've always been open to ideas too, as Tattoo Billy. Even when me and Dad was writing, it's just a lot of the guys never came up with really, never brought anything to the table. So we were open to them too. That just none of them ever really did, But we were always open to other people bringing songs besides me and Dad. But me and Dad wrote so much together. It's like,
Yeah.
it was unrealistic. We could sit back and write 20 or 30 songs in a week,
Wow.
And our problem was like, we got to quit writing because we can't get these songs recorded.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was the problem. It wasn't the writing. It was as much as trying to get in a studio and record them, because back then it was very expensive to get in a studio.
Mhm.
And now I'm lucky. I got a guy that really believe that's what got me back into it, is having people believe
Hmm.
in me and what I could write and what I could do again. And that was my wife, Matt Gracie, my producer, and they kind of helped me believe in myself. But then again, I listen to them too, because sometimes I might come up with an idea that they're like, don't do that. Like I was telling you earlier.
Yeah.
I'm smart enough to listen to them,
There you go.
But I think that is, we kind of mentioned that, like, touched on relationships and believing in people and trusting the people around you that they want the best for you
Right.
in all of the things you do.
Yeah.
Which can be hard to find sometimes, to find that, like, not just people that trust you, but people that you feel confident and trusting as well. Sounds
Right.
like you've been able to surround yourself with great people.
And that's what you got to do. I mean, and you as an individual, if you're going to be a successful artist, you can't go, I'm going to curl up in this ball. This is mine. No, no, no. This is the way it's got to be. I'm not going to listen to you. It's got to be my way or no way. I don't even want to work with people like that. If I bring a guitar player in or anybody like that, I put up with it a few times. That's because I was booked out so far, and then they turned into Frankensteins in the middle of it. And I'm like, well, I got to finish these shows anyways. And but after that, there were people I was like, I would never use them again. I don't like ego. I don't have an ego. So if you're playing with me, I don't want your ego either.
Yeah.
You come in here, have fun. Let's create some music. Let's get out and play some shows and have fun about it. And I'm like that even with a crowd. Me and my dad, when we played, we were almost like politicians. We got off stage, we didn't head to the bathroom or go to the bar and then huddle in our corner and wait for people to come up to us. We got off stage and started shaking hands and thank you
Kissing
for
babies.
coming. Hey, we
Awesome.
appreciate it. And I remember these faces and they'd be back.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, hey guys, that's how you have a successful band. You want people to like you. Don't go jump in the corner and hiding out from people. You know, they're going to think
Yeah.
you're standoffish. Get out there and have fun. Shake hands with people. Tell them thanks for coming. You know, offer to buy them a drink if you got a few bucks in your pocket. Hey, let me buy you guys a beer. You know, and that's, I think it's how we really did develop most of our fan base. That we were just nice guys. You know, me and Dad would sometimes go at each other, but that's a father and son thing. But you know,
Right.
it's different. You know,
That's family stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
right, right.
So I do have going back to what you said when you were in the studio recording. So how do you do it now? Like because most musicians now have like a makeshift home studio.
Mhm.
When you get an idea in your head, do you automatically go to like that kind of source, or do you hold it in until you go to like actual studio with your producer?
Well, I'll come up with the idea on my guitar and I might do a rough recording off my phone. Then I go to this
Okay.
studio with my producer. So
Okay.
my producer helps like, so when you go in there, it's like really a way I never recorded. All how could you say, everything before Frisky Whiskey was like live, click it off, live recording, and it was
Click
played live.
Okay.
And so, you know, this is the first time I went in and I've actually started recording professionally, where you got a track, it's click,
Yep.
you know,
Mm.
Yep.
up, you're out of time.
It's
You know what I mean? So
it's a
it's,
long enduring process, you know.
yeah, it's a
And then-
lot harder process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've learned I'm better at it now after the Frisky Whiskey experience. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And
Yeah.
we got a new one we're working on right now called Back in Country, and it's a phenomenal,
Nice.
really phenomenal song.
I
You
love
know?
the name of it already. Yeah.
I know, I
Yeah.
was like, I like that
I
already.
want to hear it
Okay,
now. Yeah.
you said Frankenstein earlier, and you had like in my digging, there's lots of Halloween horror kind of stuff
Right.
that you've got going on. I know you wrote or you performed a song. Your song was in that the movie
Kiss a
Kiss of the
Vampire.
Vampire.
Yeah.
So where did your love of that like horror, Halloween, spooky kind of stuff come from?
Yeah. It's
Mm.
I always liked the old Wolfman and Dracula movies, you know, the old you know, the old
The
ones with
cult
like Bela
classics, yeah.
Lugosi and stuff like that. So Boris Karloff, I liked all those. Vincent Price, I liked all those old, you know, horror actors. And actually one of my prized possessions is a Vincent Price autograph cookbook. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
and
Cool.
it was funny. So we wrote the song and we did a VHS video back in, you know, because videos were like hard to make, and we
Oh, yeah.
filmed it, and it was called Black Hearted Lady. So it wound up on Halloween radio, and it was like the number one Halloween radio station at that time that started playing it, and we didn't even know it got on there. You know what I mean? And until we started getting like some royalty checks, and they would sometimes mention, you know, the station or whatnot, you know, from BMI. And so we kind of, it was weird. And then we had the song get into Kiss of the Vampire, and people started like, guys kind of like dark country. And I was like, yeah, we're gothic country. So people started, for a minute, they were calling us like goth country, you know,
Right.
like teasing because we had so
Huh.
much of these horror themed and dark songs because, you know, we had like Black Hearted Ladies about a witch, you know what I mean? So yeah, we had all these songs and that weren't like lyrically wouldn't be like your typical top 40 I love you type songs, you know what I mean? There was some, you know, dark content to the lyrics, you know, and so like even Frisky Whiskey, it's not a love song. It's about a guy that gets a DUI. He got a divorce. He gets a DUI, and his whole life's falling apart around him. You know what I mean? And so that's the storyline of the song. And the only people say, "Or did you write that about yourself?" Not that part. Now there is a part in there. It's about myself, and it's in the break where it goes, "Well, I'm looking back on looking back. Listen to them records that my daddy bought." And that was like a memory of me going through my dad's records when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And there's an outlaw out there, and I know he still cares, and I'm out there and I'm running free. And it's like, about my dad, kind of still looking over me, still happy that the thing he created, that it's still going, you know. But yeah, like you were saying, a lot of dark imagery, the Halloween stuff, because I'm a huge Halloween fan. I love Halloween. It drives my wife crazy sometimes, but she tolerates me.
So what? So what's your favorite Halloween movie of all time?
Favorite Halloween movie? That is a good question. That is a very good question. And I tell you, there's so many good ones when I look back on it. I mean, even if the original Salem's Lot, I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
Oh yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember that movie so well because I remember being 8 years old and that was on as a miniseries. And right after the little boys on the window scratching the glass, let me in, let me in. My mom goes, okay, it's time to go to bed. You got school
Okay,
tomorrow. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're supposed to be upstairs to my bed after that scene,
Right, right.
So that one's always been really vivid just because of that's what happened right there. You know what I mean? Time to go to bed.
Yeah,
Got school tomorrow.
I've always been afraid so bad of Freddy Krueger. Man, I couldn't get
Yeah,
him in my head, dude. It was, oh my God. Yeah.
those were some scary ones when they came out. They
Yeah,
was.
yeah, they don't make movies like that anymore. Where it terrifies me. It's like basic stuff now.
And it's like the movie I was in The Kiss of the Vampire. Now that guy was a director. He was an actor himself. And he directed another horror movie. It had Linda Blair in it too. And I forgot the name of it. His name's Joe Torntori, but he was in the movie The Sting with Robert Redford and stuff. And he's the Black Hand gunman in The Sting that saves Robert Redford's life near the end of the movie. So if you ever see that, that's the guy that was the director of the movie.
I mean, I was going to say something earlier.
I was just thinking that I don't think they make horror. It's different
No.
now. Like it's like it's all about how
The
gruesome and
CGI
gory.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even and I know that this might be a controversial opinion, whatever, but I love the Scream franchise.
Yes.
Yeah. The Scream franchise is good.
Because it's horror, but it's also like there's some like smartness to it and fun. It's not like some of those. It's just all about the blood and guts and the jump scares and there's no actual plot. There's no any of that.
Not like Friday the 13th where Jason rounds and
for the build up.
Yeah. But I mean, Jason's has to be my favorite horror villain of all time. I don't know why. He just resonates more to me.
Right. Yeah, he was scary too. I always liked Michael Myers too. The original Halloween, that was a real masterpiece. You know what I mean? And stuff. But yeah. But I appreciate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say I love Hocus Pocus. That's my
Hocus Pocus is a good movie. I like that too. That's one of my favorite ones.
The first one was great. I didn't really care.
I haven't watched the second one. I haven't because sometimes I think the original, like you just like don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I wasn't much on the remake.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm an original. And I know that you said we've talked about like with any cover songs or anything, it's make it unique and special and different. And I think sometimes even movie remakes just the same cookie cutter, and it's not fun that way. Having that unique piece in there. So
and Hocus Pocus 1 had I don't know, kind of a magic quality to it. The way it was filmed, the acting was just, you had really good actors in it, and it just was a really cute, fun movie to watch. And have you ever been to Salem?
Yes, in fact, my daughter and I went. It was her 8th grade graduation trip. That is where she wanted to go. So we did a whole Hocus Pocus tour and looked at all the the places in the movie. But it's Salem is a really amazing little.
It's an amazing town. It is. Yep.
So unique and fun.
I stayed there one time, I think it was in 2010 or 11, and I stayed at the Stephen Daniels house, and it's from like 1665. It's a bed and breakfast. I don't know if it's still in business, but it was
I don't
pretty
know.
cool. It's right down the street from the House of Seven Gables. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's a beautiful place. Yeah, we stayed, I
Mhm.
think, at a Hampton Inn because, like I was
Right.
trying to make my life easy.
Yeah.
So I maybe totally missed or didn't see this right. Are you into tarot as well? Did I see
No,
you? No, did I see a video of you with tarot cards or
I
it's
don't think
probably
so.
my imagination? Okay, never mind. Ignore that.
Yeah, we
I
don't
had,
have
I had some
tarot
great
cards
aunts
here.
that were into that. My mom's great aunts were fortune tellers and stuff like that. But no, I'm not into that.
I'm like I'm the. hang on,
She's
what
our
was this?
she's our resident tarot lady.
Hang on. I got some more decks.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Jeez, that's what 3, 4 already. 5.
That's a
Yeah.
52. That's a 52 stack
Right.
there.
You're right.
Here we
6,
go.
6 decks. Right.
But
1,
my
2, 3.
favorite.
Okay.
Wait, 1, 2, 4, 8. Only 8.
Eight.
More, I guess.
Jeez, I
Yeah.
can't
But
count
this is
today.
my favorite one. It's a Taylor Swift lyric
Yeah.
tarot deck.
Oh wow,
I
she's
knew you
making
were
money
gonna
even
go
off
there.
that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't have too much Taylor. I'm sorry.
No.
I do love Taylor.
Like
So
does to our other co-host loves loves Taylor Swift just like Amanda.
and here's Blake and I talked about like you're not cooler just because you hate on somebody that loves something
Right.
that's popular.
Yeah.
Like let people love what they love.
Right.
Period. Like if you like it, you like it.
Mhm. I
And
agree.
I'm
Yeah.
so
But
I'm
going off that, going to what you said, Ed, about you not bringing up the Beatles as much. I think you should bring up the Beatles because you like it. I mean,
Right. Right.
like what you like. If people don't like you because they like the Beatles, they can screw off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think it's more me just because everybody says it. And I don't want to sound like I'm copying off people. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
but
It's like
they
everybody
are the
says that.
Beatles.
They
I
are the
mean,
They're the
I'm just
Beatles.
saying like they are the Beatles.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to like I mean I don't want to say they created, but they like
They
they
spawned a
they
new
influenced
generation.
so much of that like rock and
Yeah.
even to this day like some of the lyrics that both Paul McCartney and John Lennon wrote, I mean they still hit even
Right, yeah.
I was gonna say 40 years later, but I think it's closer to 60 years later at this point.
Oh, jeez, I'm old. And I'm
Oh,
only
Yeah.
84, right? It's like, but I feel like older than I should
and
be.
none of us are all that old here, but
Yeah, no.
man, it's like those and what just I think about how different music is. And I don't just mean like the music, but how accessible it is and how
Yeah.
with the with TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all of that you can
And I
get
like
to the
that.
music.
Hmm. And I mean, it's hurt me like, as in when that started, we used to sell CDs. We don't no more, but I like it because it opens up everybody's freedom of what they want to listen to. And you ain't being fed anything anymore. Like before, you had the radio station. You're listening to this, and that's it. And if you wanted to find something different, you had to get out, go to the clubs, find demo tapes of bands that were underground. And you know what I mean? It was a real work to do that kind of stuff. Now you can just flip on the computer and you find whatever you want to listen to and you listen to it, whether it's Taylor Swift or Blame My Youth or, Census Fail or whatever you want to listen to. You got that choice which it should be. You should have your choice to listen to what
And
you want to.
I think it opens up the world to some of those indie artists
Mm.
where they can be
Right.
heard by people and have a whole new audience that they might not have ever had before because they were so localized, right? Like
Yeah.
there are bands that I went to shows when I was, in high school that were amazing, but probably could have made it much bigger if they had had that ability to be in more places than just
Right.
in a little, club in Louisville, Kentucky,
Right,
instead
right.
of, so I know that James always likes to wrap up with um
The, the hardest question
a
on earth.
question, the hardest question of the night.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, Billy. Ed. What is okay? So, if you could name one artist, album, or song that you can think of right now, but you can't tell me, Amanda, your wife, anybody else how it makes you feel deep inside your soul. I told you.
So,
Yeah.
You can't
pick
put it into
my,
words like how it,
Yeah. Right.
don't mention but don't mention the artist.
Oh,
No, tell us. Yeah, tell us what that
Okay.
artist is that
Yep.
you
Either the
hits
artist.
you in a way that like you can't explain why or how it hits you so hard.
I tell you who I
Yeah.
think still hits me, and if I could ever meet some, well, I have to say the Rolling Stones,
Okay.
especially all their stuff from the 1960s. I just think the Rolling Stones were an amazing band, still an amazing band, and I mean, and still outperforming. You know what I mean? So it's,
Right.
you know, well, they just finishing up their last tour, but yeah, it has to be the
But
Rolling
I'm always
Stones.
like, is it your last tour? I
Is
always
it
feel
your
like
last tour? Yeah,
there's always
your last
that
tour.
like, oh, this is our last tour.
Right.
See, that's
And
what
then
Kiss
there's
did,
another.
but I don't think they're really done. Because Gene Simmons hired like two of his other band members and still are performing Kiss shows. So
Right.
I mean,
So I'm gonna ask you this because I don't know very much music trivia. Like I'm just here for color commentary. I don't know much about music. But the Rolling Stones, we just recently did an episode of where bands got their names. So do you
Right.
know how the Rolling Stones got their names?
Yeah, they got it off. Wasn't it a Muddy Waters record?
Yes. I
Yeah.
didn't know, like these are all things I've learned because of James and Blake, the other host here. I appreciate them because they've introduced me to things that I didn't, music and knowledge that I didn't know existed.
Right.
There's some great music that they've introduced me to. I would have
Big
never
time.
heard of you if I wasn't, if
Yeah.
I wasn't here, if James hadn't asked me to be part of this. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me on tonight.
Is there any other, I know you said you've got something coming up that you guys are working on.
It should be out probably April or May. It's going to be a single called Back in Country. So it's going
Awesome.
to be a good one.
right.
I can't
Well, I
wait to
can't
hear
wait
it.
to hear because the name is amazing. I love the name of the song.
Back in Country. Yeah,
Back in
I
Country.
love that.
Yeah.
It's
So-
and it's a very different song. It's almost like Queen meets country music.
I love
It's
Queen.
very
Ooh.
different. It's way different
Nice.
than what Frisky Whiskey is. So a lot of dynamics and stuff. So it's going
I'm
to be a good
excited.
one.
Yeah.
I can't
Love
wait to
that.
hear that. I'm gonna have to mark it on my calendar. My brain won't remember, so I'm gonna probably May 1st. I'm gonna write in there to remember to look it up.
When it gets done, I'll hit James up and I'll send you guys over
Perfect.
before it's released. I'll let you guys hear it.
I can't
it's
wait.
done.
Awesome. Awesome.
So thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it.
And everybody keep country rocking.
Yes. Then
Oh, I
let's
love
do it.
that.
Let's get it out on. So, all right, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for listening to our show. We thank you, Billy, for coming on. He's welcome. You're welcome back anytime you want to come back on, and we'll be glad to talk to you throughout music
Thank
history or something, whatever you want to talk about. And always remember, when words fail,
Music speaks.
bye, guys.
Thanks.
See ya.
All right, have good. Thank you
Thanks so much, Ed. I
Billy.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, guys.
sure, anytime. Yeah,
Appreciate it. I really have enjoyed. I get to listen
Put the
to new
glasses on
music
now.
all the
Yeah.
time, and because of this is still
Yeah.
new to me. I just like music,
yeah.
Yeah.
but I
me
never
too.
know. I just sing. I drive my kids crazy because I sing The joke is I sing loudly, proudly, and poorly.
Mm.
Oh, I think everybody could sing. Everybody can
Oh,
sing.
we can all
Everybody's got a
sing.
voice.
It's just whether or not someone wants to hear us sing.
There's
I've
always,
seen the-
what I said earlier, there's always a crowd.
Well, you know,
Well,
There's
I,
always an audience.
my current partner is he is kind of a metalhead,
Right.
classic rock. He's about I'm 44, he's 52. So like we're just a little
Okay.
different in our like generations, but also not that far apart. You know
Right.
what's so fun is just driving. You know, we live in the middle of nowhere, Texas, pretty much. And so just he lives in Gun Barrel City. What a great
That's a
name
great
for a
name, right,
town
yeah.
I love
ever,
that.
Yeah,
right?
Cool.
yeah.
Gun Barrel City, Texas. But it's fun just driving on some of those back roads and, you know, singing everything from Journey to Metallica to Olivia Newton-John together, right? Like, it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
Music is very, very relaxing, and it's like Amanda said. I mean, it's fun, you know. There's something
Yeah.
Brings us
for everybody,
together.
you know. There's something for everybody, you know. So
Right.
And again, you like what you like and don't, you know,
yeah,
you
don't
need
want
to
anybody
judge.
to take away. from the
Like
people.
my
Beatles
son
are shit.
would never my son would hate that I ever talk about this, but Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen.
That's a good song.
He
Mhm.
was like 2 or 3, 4, something like that when it came out. And it was his favorite song when he was little. And he's 15 now. And when I mean like he's like this is him.
He's
Like who I mean he might have the best mullet ever in the history of mullets.
Yeah.
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 But he's still, if I put that song on our way to school or somewhere, he will sing right along with me, and it makes my soul happy. Like,
Yeah.
just that we
Yeah.
have that like connection.
Connection. Right. Right.
And I
And
think music connects us.
they do. It does. And, you know, and especially being, like I said, being in it my whole life and being with family, and it does show you the connections you get with people. You know what I mean? And it is an amazing thing. But it was a pleasure being on. Whenever you
Oh
guys
yeah.
get this
Anytime.
put together,
So,
shoot
yeah,
me the link
James
and I'll
is-
share it on all my sites.
Yeah,
Cool. I
James
will
is
do.
pretty quick at getting things together. He's
Yeah.
Okay,
he's
cool.
our technical guru.
I'm the
I
technical
just-
guru.
Again, I just show up and I look
Just-
this. I'm apparently I drank. I can feel I'm flushed because I had
That's all right.
one and a little bit whiskey, and I'm can feel it in my cheeks.
Yeah. There's 4 more shots. You'll feel better.
There you go. There you go.
No,
Yeah.
then
There you go.
I'm too old for that. Then I'll be hungover tomorrow, and I have a
Yeah, you got to
I have a conference I have to present
Oh,
at
no.
tomorrow about entrepreneurship, and
Oh, there you go. Cool.
so like no, I'm not. No, I can't drink that much, or I will be worthless tomorrow. I might smoke something. Oh wait, we're still
There-
recording. Never mind. I won't do anything other than
No, we're not doing
no,
that.
we've already.
Yeah.
All right, Billy.
No.
All right, you take
Okay,
care.
Thank you
man.
so
Thanks,
much, or
guys.
Ed.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, thank you. I
You call me
appreciate your
Billy
time.
Ed. Yeah,
Okay.
You call me
You
anything.
answer no,
Oh,
just
Billy,
just don't
yeah.
call you late for dinner. That's what
Yeah,
we-
That's right.
All right, thanks.
Thanks so much,
All
Ed.
right.
I appreciate it. Have a great night.
You
Bye.
guys have
Bye.
a good night. Thank you.